Yes, hello and welcome back to the FinTech and Dream stage here on the Copenhagen Fintech Week 2020. Next session is a super exciting session on sustainable banking and innovation fund. It is organized by one of our newest partners, Huawei. Thank you for that. And I will first hand the mic over to Tommy Schwicke. Tommy is the vice president of communication at Huawei Denmark. Earlier, he's had a long career in Danmarks Radio and Politiken and media houses in Denmark. But welcome to this session. Welcome to Huawei and welcome to Tommy.
All right, I think I'm on. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for this presentation on sustainable banking and innovation. My name is Tommy. I'm Vice President of Communications at Huawei Denmark. At Huawei, sharing, sustainability, and integrity are among our core values. And that's why we are proud to be a supporting member of the Copenhagen Fintech community. In just a little bit, you'll be able to see some inspiring presentations, but please allow me to take a few minutes to explain why the issues being discussed here today are so important to us at Huawei. I just mentioned three of our core values, one of them being sharing. Our entire industry agrees that globalization is the way forward, and that building and sharing global ecosystems is key to success. Huawei is committed to dissolving boundaries and working with partners around the world to build an industry that works for every player because we work with, share with, and create new opportunities for our ecosystem partners. That's how we create value both for ourselves and for the wider community. And that's why we, among other initiatives, have created a fund of $10 million to support our partners and developers. Building and nurturing these relationships are integral to our vision, and you will hear more about that in just a little bit. Here today, we are discussing sustainable banking. At Huawei, we work with industry partners to build a more inclusive and sustainable industry ecosystem with a focus on driving progress towards the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. As we create a digital and intelligent world together, we are bringing its benefits to more individuals, homes, and organizations. Just last year, Huawei was awarded 10 different sustainability awards. This focus has manifested in many tangible benefits and projects in a variety of areas. Just one example is our 5G base stations that has about 20% less power consumption than our competitors. Imagine how much that equates when you multiply that by thousands, if not millions of stations operating year after year. These values that I've mentioned here can all be boiled down to the most important one, integrity. Huawei founder Ren Zhengfei has said, quote, "The essence of Huawei's culture can be described with one word, integrity. As our most valuable and tangible asset, integrity is key to our survival and the source of individual and corporate growth," end quote. And let's be honest here, Huawei is under immense pressure these days. But in the end, I believe it is our integrity that will allow us to persevere. Not only because we believe in partnerships, but we also invest in them, creating building blocks for our future as a company. The name of this stream is FinTech and Dreams. And we truly believe that if you can dream it, you can do it. And if your dream involves building a digital, intelligent, and sustainable world for all, we believe in you and we will support you. But enough words from me. Let's get into it. I'm happy to leave you in the very capable hands of CEO of Nordic Sea, Anu Hunkalina. I'm sorry, Anu, I hope I said that almost correctly. Thank you all for your time.
Hello, everybody. As Tommy said, my name is Anu Honkalinna. I'm the CEO of Nordic Sea, and I'm also a senior advisor to Huawei. The sustainable banking is a buzzword of today and even the topic of the whole Copenhagen Fintech Week. There are several approaches to the sustainability within finance, from carbon neutrality and compensation to collaborations with large companies, with fintechs, in an effort to find world-class solutions to the biggest problems of today. The problems vary from environmental challenges to inequality between people and even different countries. Sometimes it feels that the problems are even too big to be solved. And therefore, I'm extremely happy to see that the sustainability in its different forms is trending so strongly among all companies, whether big or small, because that gives us hope that these problems will be solved. I'm therefore very pleased to have two experts who have dedicated a lot of their career into impacting sustainability in their own fields to present their approaches. First, I'm happy to have Petra Särkkä, the Chief Investment Officer at Nordea Life, with nearly 20 years of experience in investments. Petra is responsible at Nordea Life for creating the strategy for investments and how to include sustainability to the investment decisions. Nordea Life has actually won the most sustainable assurance award for 3 consecutive years. That seems to definitely resonate with you and be a big part of your kind of driving decisions. What does sustainability mean to Nordea Life, Petra?
Well, thank you, Anu. Sustainability is, of course, a very broad range of topics and activities, and there perhaps isn't a one correct answer to it. But for us at Nordea Life, we kind of think that when we act in a prudent way towards our customers, employees, authorities, owners, counterparties, and the overall community, that's when we are doing sustainable operations. And for us, it is also kind of to create long-term sustainable business when we act kind of sustainably and prudently in the ecosystem. We have created in Nordea Life company-wide sustainability targets that cover operations and processes across the entire firm. And we review and update them on a regular basis. And we also try to kind of have sustainability integrated into everyday activities of all the people in our company. And also this recognition that you also mentioned, that's kind of the one that we are now kind of the most sustainable life insurer in the Nordics. That gives us a really good feeling and kind of a confidence that we are on the right track, even though we are by far not ready with this. Perhaps I kind of just give a couple of examples kind of what we mean when we try to do a prudent way. First of all, our customers, we would like to really be a relevant partner for them along the phases of their lives, because our business is a long-term relationship business. And in addition to customers, we have already for years concentrated a lot of efforts towards our employees so that we kind of have well-being programs and engagement programs for our employees, and are really happy having been nominated as one of the first best workplaces in Finland, actually. So that's something that we are really proud of, actually, because without our employees, we really wouldn't have a business, even though the world is a lot more digitalized nowadays than before. Still, people are what we believe matters at the end of the day. But also kind of the overall society, what we kind of contribute to that. For instance, in Finland, we are among the biggest corporate taxpayers. That's also kind of we see as a kind of a sustainable player in the Finnish field. And we do a lot of voluntary work on an everyday business, so we kind of help elderly people to understand digital activities and functionalities and mobiles, and then we teach children to have better financial skills and so on. So it's something that I could talk for ages of, but here is just some kind of indications of what sustainability means to us.
I think that's a great kind of broad answer from kind of different ends, and gives a bit of a flavor. What are all kinds of initiatives that you can put under the topic of sustainability, whether it's close, far, whether it's kind of close to your own company or geographically further away. How do you see kind of, now you gave some examples of kind of the what it means, the sustainability. How do you see then that the sustainability is transported to the investment decisions in practice that you're in charge of at Nordea Life?
Well, the overarching aim of our investment activities is to earn a good risk-adjusted return in a sustainable and prudent way. So we have consistently over the years worked on sustainability-related issues and ESG, so environmental, social, and governance issues around investment activities. As an example, we have a responsible investment committee in Nordea that has been up and running for about 15 years already. So it's not something that we invented yesterday. We have over the years created a structured investment process, including the phases from initial sourcing of new investments into actual decision making and the framework and governance around that, and then eventually to the monitoring of the investments that we do. So we think that sustainability is actually to have a framework and governance around. So it's kind of a risk management even, I would say, at least partially. When you think about cornerstones of our investment activities, those include the more traditional type of exclusions. So we kind of exclude some sectors and companies from our investment universe. But over the past years, we have more and more focused on kind of positive inclusions, which I think is a better way of doing investments. So we prefer investments into companies that focus, for instance, offering clean tech solutions, renewable energy solutions, or have some sort of a specific impact focus. So kind of try to find a positive angle towards investing rather than excluding. And then another important element in our investment activities is to be an active owner. We invest a lot through investment funds. So we have a continuous dialogue with the funds and managers that we invest in to be able to understand the ways that they do investments and then kind of be able to make good decisions on that. One example perhaps of our activities is that we are quite a big sizable investor in real estate assets, and there we kind of we do a systematic progress in all our properties so that we develop them actively, for instance utilizing green energy and focusing on different sorts of energy efficiency activities. And we also certify kind of a sustainability certification, so we try to get into our properties gradually. So this is also kind of a broad topic and containing a lot of things, but just as an examples of what we do in everyday life. So basically we try to integrate sustainability and investments into one. They are not two separate things for us.
That sounds again like a good answer, and with relevant examples from varying from different ends. I was wondering, do you have any kind of plans to offer consumers an opportunity to participate into sustainability one way or the other, or is that something that is outside of your plans?
Well, that's a very good question, Anu. Thank you. We actually already now have several investment products for our customers to choose that are kind of containing very high levels of sustainability. So we have in Nordea a concept called Sustainable Selection, which is available for those customers that are kind of extra keen on having sustainable solutions in their portfolios. We offer both kind of all-in-one managed portfolios where a customer only makes one decision and gets a very broadly diversified, highly sustainable portfolio. Or then we have kind of a developed individual investment opportunities for those customers that are more active in their investing. And we are kind of really, really happy that over the past years we have seen a continuous increasing number of customers and the share of customers choosing the highly sustainable investment options. So it means that we clearly see a client interest for this. Most of our customers in Nordea Life are kind of a private person, so not corporate customers. So private individuals are increasingly keen on these topics. I think that the positive inflows that we've seen, one another important topic is that the performance actually of our highly sustainable products have been really positive compared to general market developments, especially this year and also last year, which is kind of very good for us. When we have customer dialogues, we want to try to be as transparent as we can. And together with Nasdaq, we have created earlier this year something called sustainability footprint, where we try to make it visible for the customers what is the actual eventual difference that they can make when they invest into these products. So we visualize the CO2 emissions for them, the water usage, waste generation, and also kind of a future potential CO2 emissions from oil and gas and gold reserves if they would be extracted and utilized. So this is a way of kind of visualizing. It's a kind of they are pictures for the customers to see kind of so that's good. Okay. So yes, we have products for them and offerings and are really happy to see the inflows as well, even throughout the Corona spring that we have experienced.
That sounds very good. We're slowly running out of time here with our part, but I have a very short question to end of this session. How do you see? I know Nordea Life is involving some startups to your kind of ecosystem. I know about your My Life products and that family. How do you see kind of fintechs, startups impacting the sustainability kind of factor within your businesses?
Well, we definitely think that startups and growth companies and the likes have a really key role in developing sustainability, not only in Finland, but globally. So, and that's one of the key reasons why we some years back reinitiated our program of investing into startups and growth products. So we saw that innovative growth companies and startups are really kind of able to develop solutions for the future, kind of to tackle different sorts of environmental challenges, but also to kind of to promote growth and future employment, which of course we see as sustainable as well. So we do our investments mostly through fund investments, so not direct company investments. And we have been really happy to see the development of those funds that we have invested in throughout this Corona time as well. And also kind of in the Finnish venture capital ecosystem, so to speak, sustainability is very high on the agenda. So we see regular reports from our funds around sustainability topics and so on. So, but that is definitely something that we are happy to be part of.
Sounds good. I have to thank you now. It would be great to continue the discussion, but we're kind of reaching our time here. But thank you so much, Petra, for joining the discussion, and good luck with continuing the good efforts on the sustainability front.
Thanks.
So the next discussion is going to be with Jussi Nykänen. He's the Managing Director of FIM Impact Investing with more than 25 years of experience from businesses with impact. one way or the other. So I'm extremely pleased to have Jussi as well as my guest. You have a broad expertise and background from different impact investment initiatives. And now you're currently managing an impact investing funds. How would you describe impact investing, and could you give us some examples? How does that work? Jussi, I think you're on mute.
You are absolutely right. Thank you.
Yes.
Hopefully you can hear me now.
Yes.
Impact investing, it's a rather simple concept on paper. So when we do investments, we take into account risks and a return, like in any investments. But in addition to these two dimensions, we add a third one, which is impact. So when we do the investment, we optimize the return and impact at the time the investment is being made. And with impact, I mean social or environmental impact, or it could be reduction of greenhouse gases, it could be prevention of social exclusion of children or something else. Currently we are active, how would I describe it, in the deep end of the impact investing pool. So we are developing and managing so-called social impact bonds, which is really confusing term because those are not bonds, but they are merely funds. And with these SIP funds, the crucial element is that we tie the return for the investors to impact we create. So if there is no impact, there is no return. And that, of course, gives us a huge motivation to create positive results. As examples, we are running now 4 different funds. The one is investing in workplace well-being. One is investing in prevention of social exclusion of children and young. One is investing in employment of long-term unemployed people. And the last one is investing in integration and employment of refugees in Finnish society. So there are various initiatives we are busy with, but the key is that the results and the return are always tied together.
That sounds great, and I'm really happy to have kind of a different example to sustainability than what Petra was giving from a different angle to investments. What do you consider are the key elements you're considering when building and managing impact funds? How does that work?
Well, there are in fact 2 dimensions there. The first one is a little bit similar to private equity funds in a big picture. So what we want to have is that we have a big problem which we try to solve. Then we have to have a big solution for solving it. So like always, everything has to be big. Then the other thing is that we have to have excellent team because in most of the funds, especially these SIB funds, we are comparing our operations to, let's say, traditional operations. So we have to be better than what the society has been previously. And that means that we have to have the best teams, the best tools, the best data. Then the other dimension is that as we are tying the income to measured results, we have to have tools and means to measure accurately what we are achieving. And again, digitalization plays a huge role in there because when someone is paying for the results, we can't say to them that we believe that the impact is this and that. We have to be able to show it because it's turned into monetary units.
Yeah, that sounds, I believe, quite kind of today's buzzword as well, that everything is digitalized and in order to be scalable, measured, quantifiable and so on. So that I believe makes sense also. what is the role of digital tools now that we're kind of coming into that part in the funds you manage? How do you expect that to evolve in the future?
When we started the operation, we thought that, we just need a couple of clever people and they can do everything. Now we have learned that there are no such people, there are no such companies who can solve these very complicated problems. I have, for example, myself tried to solve the climate issue for 20 years, but still we have the same problem. So the issue is that, for example, prevention of social exclusion of young people and children, that's extremely complicated because we have to take into account the social issues, health-related issues, family issues, and we need to put different type of companies together. We have to combine all sort of data into one project. We have to be able to analyze the data. We have to be able to collect it efficiently. And that means that, in fact, we have to build new type of service ecosystem that has various companies, various, let's say, applications, let's say, data management systems. So, in fact, we are creating sort of systemic change in the way we behave. And that can't be done on paper with a pen and paper. We need something more, more fast, more accurate, and more flexible. So definitely digital tools are needed now, and in the future they are needed more and more.
So Excels are no longer a viable option there. I think we're also running out of.
We usually start with Excel on day one, but then we have to have other solution the next day.
Exactly. I think our time is also kind of running out soon. So one final question for you for a quick answer. What is your view how will the sustainable banking and impact investing markets will develop in the kind of near future?
It develops well, and that's the good news and bad news. It develops well, first of all, because there is, let's say, investor interest, and there are lots of good applications and companies who can create impact. The negative side is that there are lots of social and environmental problems that need to be solved, and we can't solve those problems with governmental money. So we have to find let's say, public-private partnerships to be able to solve the problems, and that creates the market. We have to find ways to make the private money to work for the society. So the market will develop positively, that's for sure.
Sounds good. Thank you. I thank you a lot from my part. You will continue in the panel as well, so I won't say goodbye yet, but I'll transfer to the next host. Thank you for my part.
Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name's Andreas, and I will share my screen. So just bear with me for a second. All right. So hopefully you can see this. So as I said, my name is Andreas. I'm in charge of our ecosystem strategy for Europe, actually based in Germany. So hi from Germany. The sun is shining. I have 10 minutes to give you kind of like an outlook on what Huawei is doing with the Huawei mobile services. And I want to give a little bit of an outlook how that relates to mobile banking. Bear with me that within 10 minutes, it's quite challenging, but I am happy to continue the conversation with you. I'm reachable through various social media if you have any questions following up on this. And, I'm going to take a slightly different approach on sustainability, because I'm going to look at sustainability in terms of technological development, right? How do we build solutions that are made to last? But first, let's look at the pear. Apart from being a very delicious fruit, I do like the pear as a metaphor for mobile banking. And let me explain why. as a pair, if you look at the pair, describing a pair, you'll see that it is kind of round at the bottom and going becoming much smaller at the top. And I think if we look at the mobile banking market in Germany, which I'm just using out of convenience and because it is in fact the largest kind of like retail banking market, in the sense that Germany has over 70 million accounts, which with counting 86 million inhabitants, that is actually quite a lot. I think Germany is a good example to kind of look at what the mobile banking market looks like. So this is the German pair. And I basically start by looking at, okay, what's the smartphone ownership in a specific country? So in Germany, it's 90%. That's very good. Obviously, Huawei is a smartphone manufacturer, so we're very happy if a lot of people have smartphones and we help with the connections and all. Then we look at the usage of digital banking, and there it starts going a little bit, as you say, pear-shaped. Because the smartphone ownership isn't equal to digital banking ownership. So we only have 81% members of the public in Germany who actually do digital banking. Okay, well, but it's still acceptable. 81% is quite a high number. But then I look at mobile banking, and we end up with 34%, which is really, really bad, actually, if you consider the fact that almost everyone has a smartphone. So that's the pair. It's quite pear-shaped. We have a very broad bottom and a very, very slim top. So I said, okay, well, maybe Germans aren't representative of the tech or user landscape at large. So this being a Copenhagen event, I also looked at Denmark, which is the Danish slightly plumper pair. Because actually in Denmark, we see equally high smartphone ownership as in Germany, 88%, rounding error could be 90%, and the digital banking is actually on the same level. So I was like, okay, cool. So Denmark is our new best practice here, but actually even Denmark sees the same kind of, maybe not as bad as in Germany, but still not 100% mobile banking for the user base that is there. And I mean, even it's quite sad if you see that. On the other hand, it does present a little bit of an opportunity, right? I did ask myself the question, though, why are we actually seeing this? And some of my attempts, there's some data that on why this is. I looked at a study from the UK and YouGov. Some attempts at explaining this are around experience, right? Users are not used to the experience. There's a level of uncertainty. Users may not be aware of the mobile banking as an offer in terms of like visibility. And last but not least, and we always have this discussion, and we especially have this discussion in Germany, of course, is trust around security, privacy, those kind of things. But I'm a techie, so these kind of like things sort of resonated with me because I've seen it before. So looking at what's happened in the past, we see that in the past, actually, people used to own something called a feature phone, right? Probably a lot of you, I know that whoever is dialing in from Finland probably has some fond memories of the feature phone there, right? So with a feature phone, you were able to make calls, right? No problem. You were able to send text messages, no problem. You could play Snake, right, on the Nokia phone. So you were also entertained. Yeah, and smartphones did all of that as well, but they did it better. And eventually they won, right? So now we're in an age where actually the feature phone is quite non-existent anymore in the market, with some maybe the 10% that don't own a smartphone have a feature phone, but actually the smartphone has sort of taken over, right? And we learned from this, the feature phone in that sense was not very sustainable. The smartphone, however, we believe is, and one of the reasons is that the smartphone actually follows the trajectory of following kind of the user need, right? So we know that in the past, the phone experience was kind of limited to these 9 little push buttons. So those push buttons were your access to the world, right? You could even surf internet on those devices, but not very well. That's until the first smartphone came, obviously the iPhone, which kind of gave us a new way of interacting with the phone by actually introducing a touchscreen and an app store, right? So something that allowed the user to download features onto their phone and then use them instead of having all the features pre-installed on the device. Yeah. And then 10 years on, and this is where we kind of are now, we're more in an era of even intelligent phones. So nowadays, you don't even have to touch your phone anymore. You can just talk to it in order to unleash a world of smart services. So, we believe that this is relevant to mobile banking, of course, because we as Huawei, we're building a platform, and we want to make sure that all of the users of this platform do mobile banking, and we also want to make sure that all of the providers of mobile banking have access to this platform. This platform is called Huawei Mobile Services, right? And it kind of sits in the middle between the end consumer and partners or developers, which could be banks as well. And our vision is to bring both of those together in a smart, connected ecosystem, not just on the phone, mind you, but actually across a wide range of other devices like laptops, like tablets, and even sort of in-car entertainment systems, which is also something that we are working on. So we want to offer an end-to-end platform. Now, what can this look like from the perspective of a fintech or a bank ultimately? Well, first and foremost, at the very basic level, we have the third largest app distribution platform that the world has ever seen. Yeah. So in App Gallery, we have around 490 million monthly active users. It's active in over 170 countries. So it's a global platform that helps app developers distribute their apps to the users. And we actually work closely with a lot of financial institutes. One of the first on the platform was, for example, BBVA. You'll know from Spain, quite an innovative bank that's been on board and been providing their application to Huawei users. But we also have smaller fintechs, for example, like Outbank or Finanzguru, that actually rely on open banking to provide value-added services to users and aggregate accounts. And those, together with these partners, we kind of want to build up this platform, give our users access to these applications, and mostly, also promote these applications to the users to ultimately drive up the adoption of mobile banking. But apps are actually relatively old school if you think about it, right? The buzzword of tomorrow or even today, depending on where you are, is obviously AI. And this is also a topic that we've been very active in for quite a long time. So we have something called the Huawei Ability Gallery, which is actually a cloud feature which uses AI in order to aggregate services. And these services are then smartly distributed to the different touch points, right? Whether it's a smartwatch, whether it's a laptop or a phone, a user has different needs at different times. So AI adds a contextual awareness of services and distributes them to the right device. So, for example, say that you're in a store and you're about to sort of check out, and you raise your wrist. The watch would have a contextual kind of awareness that now you want to pay, so it offers up a certain payment subservice from an app to the user at the right time. And again, this works across multiple touch points also on the device itself. One of them being Huawei Assistant. You can usually access that by swiping from left to right on the phone home screen. And it's basically a collection of smart cards. And these cards are provided by third parties, potentially like yourself. So for any type of vertical, for example, food or stocks or sports events, there are cards that users can subscribe to and then get relevant information whenever a contextual awareness triggers. There's a long list of kind of logics that you could apply here for contextual awareness, but to take maybe like a stocks example, if one of the stocks that you own reaches a certain price, the card surfaces on your phone and reminds you to, I guess, sell or buy, depending on what you've predefined. Obviously, the difference is that this is a smart kind of recommendation and not the user getting actively involved in touching the phone there. Another thing which also goes down this line is actually making content accessible from as many touch points as possible. And here we have a neat technology which is called Quick Apps. It's actually based on HTML5, so it's using the same programming language as your website, but it's neither a website nor is it a full app. It's a hybrid. And the wonderful thing about it is that because it's a hybrid, it's also fully flexible. It can be integrated with different software development kits, but at the same time, it can also be very easily published across different touch points. So it's not just an app that you have to download from an app store. It is also an app that you could smartly surface in certain contexts. So one example of this would be if you're a tourist in another country and you want to travel in this country and you want to download the ticket app, you could either install a classical full ticketing app from an app store, or you just install kind of like a snippet of an app, which is maybe only a tenth of the size, so you don't have to use download bandwidth, and also that you can easily delete again after you leave the city that you're visiting. So this is a kind of like a new technology which is more built for a future where things are more connected and you have less reliability, you rely less on heavy applications. I mean, what ties all of this essentially together is a vision where content kind of switches between screens, right? And another thing that we are working on here is to make app development or development in general as easy as possible. So we don't believe in boundaries between devices. We actually think that all devices should be connected and that all the content should be easily shared between these devices. So one thing that we are also looking at is for all development work that companies would have to do, we look at actually making this development work as easy as possible, making development work only necessary once, and then distributing this kind of content, whether it's through a native app, whether it's through a quick app, or through one of those abilities which surface in our Huawei Assistant, to make them surface the right content to the right user at the right time. And obviously, all of this at the very core is secured by not only hardware, but also software, and finally also biometric recognition, which is something that obviously we're seeing more and more users actually jump onto. A few years ago, biometric recognition was a thing of the future. Now most phones actually work by just looking at them and then unlocking it because they recognize their own user. And of course, all of this is secured end to end by the latest certifications in privacy and security. And with that, I will leave you to Siri to talk to you about the investment fund.
Thank you so much, Andreas. I will then do my best as well to see if I can share my screen. The challenge I have is that I've lost everyone's faces, so I don't know what has happened. So I can't see any smiles, and I can't see whether you can hear me or not. But I hope you can hear me. Let me see if I can share this in a good way. Can you all see this one now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, hi everyone. My name is Siri Börsum, and I am so happy that you have given me the opportunity to share with you the what the Finance Partnership Growth Fund is all about. It's about innovation, it's about partnership, and obviously it's about growth for the financial services. My role as a global VP for the finance vertical here at Huawei and the eco development and partnership team is to make sure that we establish transparent, innovative, and what I would say solid partnerships with the finance industry. And I believe that we need to do that through the use of technology and the opportunity that the app gallery can bring to the industry, like Andreas just took us through. And we can do that together by improving the user experience, because I think we still have a way to go there. And that is most likely also the reason for not everyone using mobile apps on their or financial apps on their mobile phones. I also want to make sure that we actually bring a large variety of services to our users. And I want to make sure that everyone is included in this. We don't want to leave anyone out. So what I would like to do is just very quickly tell you about no, let me see. I hate technology sometimes when it doesn't work for some reason. Let me see if I'll just do like this. Now, yeah. So the objective with this is that what we've done is that we have established a fund for $10 million US. And that fund is to support you as our partners and developers that want to join us to improve the user experience and also to bring new business models onto the App Gallery platform. And in order to do that, there is a few very simple evaluation criteria that we want to cover. We want to make sure that with this service, you are able to offer a financial feature or service that will improve the customer experience. The other thing that is important is that this service can benefit other partners as well, because we believe in the partnership model. And it's also important that this is not just a short-term opportunity, but something that is a long-term business opportunity. And basically, we also want to see that it's not just for a very small market, but more that the potential in the future is also regional or preferably at the global scale. So if you can apply for this fund, we want to include everyone. So it is startups that can offer financial services, but it can also be startups that are including financial services in their offerings. But what they need to have is already an existing business and client portfolio. But we are looking at neobanks, investment banks, retail banks, insurance companies, and obviously fintechs. So we want everyone that has a good idea to at least reach out and bring their idea to us and see if there's anything that we can do together. Why you should apply? Well, potentially there is support of up to $100,000 US. We would also like, obviously, to promote your brand through the App Gallery with the features that will be developed. There's also the possibility of using the network that Huawei already have on a global level, and you could be connected to other partners. We want to support you by bringing developers from Huawei into the project, obviously. And something that I know is of importance, we don't have any requirements for equity or any other assets. So it is purely that something we do together to drive the industry forward or the user experiences to get them improved. Then we want to make sure this is a very simple process. We know that some of these funds can take a lot of your time. We don't want that. So we will make sure that as long as you have a great idea, we'll grab it and contact you after that. Then there is a big growth potential, obviously, by doing this through our app gallery. And we want to improve your value proposition in the global market. App gallery can also bring you a new sales channel. And in addition, and finally, there's the marketing support that we can give you in the app gallery. So the application process is extremely simple. You send me an email, and I will return a form to you that you need to fill out and return to us when you filled it out. We will look at it, and this form will ask you obviously for the things that I just mentioned in the evaluation, but it will also ask you a few other simple questions. About your company, how many people that work there, why do you think you should get the fund, and basic things like that. And then for the evaluation, we will put together a group of 10 people that will rotate. So it won't always be the same, but there will always be 4 people in the group that will evaluate the application or the form that you send back to us. And then if we believe your idea is exciting and we see that there's an opportunity for us to move forward, then we will invite you for an interview. And then you will meet the committee, and there will obviously be more questions during this process. But now you're so much closer to actually to the goal. And then every quarter we will announce between 1 and 3 winners or projects that we would like to explore and continue to work on. So you have to remember that this is a what you call it. This is a pilot. We need to start somewhere. We haven't done this before, so it's new to us. But we believe that there's a huge opportunity for the industry and that we can do this together. So that is basically short about the partnership and growth fund. If you have any questions or any comments or anything, then you can see my email as well, and just please drop me an email. We are very open to any form of feedback that can improve this fund or that you have ideas for the future. So that brings me to stop sharing. And yes, and now I have the pleasure of seeing your happy faces. So that's good. So that brings us to the next point, or the next part of this, or actually the last part of this session, which is a debate again on the sustainable banking. So with us right now we have Jussi, that was Nikkanen. Is that the right word or name?
You pronounced it perfectly.
Oh, perfect. Well, that's good. I won't introduce you because you've already been introduced, but I would like to introduce Sirpa Nurlund, which is the Senior Vice President in an issuing an e-security service. And she's also the Country Director of Finland at Nets, where they focus on delivering new payment services to banks and financial institutions. So Sirpa is an experienced leader at the financial and high-tech industry and has a long experience within the industry. What I would like to sort of start discussing with you guys is that looking at sustainable banking, we kind of see that it's covering a wide range of initiatives, from technical innovations for financial inclusions to social impact investments and carbon measurement and neutralization. So as an example, we are expecting like payments to be more or less invisible in the future, or at least I hope it will be, as technology and artificial intelligence is making it possible for us to create processes that become a lot more sophisticated and frictionless. We see in China, we see companies like Bingo Box, where you can use facial recognition. You'd see Alipay with the QR codes. And then in the US, you have the Amazon Go stores that use these sensors that allow customers to just simply walk out of the store, leaving their mobile device to process all the payments automatically. At the same time, we see that apps are getting more and more important tools to secure financial inclusion amongst other developing countries. So in the race to accelerate economic growth and to deliver on customer expectations, I believe that we've seen many imbalances that are being created in the economical ecosystem. And so much that we're actually, it's about survival of our planet that is at stake. So if I can start with you, Sirpa, how is it possible to deliver on customer expectations and demands and run a profitable and sustainable business at the same time?
Hi, everyone. And Siri, that's an excellent question. Really, really good question. Having worked in financial industry now for over 10 years, I would almost, and then before that on technology, I would also almost turn it upside down. I mean, you can't have one without another. So you can't have a profitable product without having it also sustainable when it comes to user experience and answering to customer needs. So only the well-designed products will fulfill the customer needs, and only those can be profitable in a healthy, competitive market economy environment where we all live in. And I also see the trend is going towards more usable and user-friendly products. People are quite lazy. We are all quite lazy, so we are ready to go wherever it's easy and convenient and fast. Even exchange our privacy sometimes to faster and easier products.
Yeah, and I totally agree. We are very, very lazy, aren't we? Like anything that makes our lives easier is very compelling to us. You see, when it comes to technology, like in this space, how do you see technology? Like, what role will it play in sustainable banking in the future?
Well, I think Sirpa described quite well that we have to have technology that is simple, it's fast, it's reliable, and customers are happy to take into use. That's the first thing. The other thing is that we have vast amount of different challenges, environmental or social challenges like climate change, financial inclusion of people in developing countries, financial literature, and so on. And these are not simple solutions to solve. And because we have quite complicated problems, and we have problems that require lots of data, lots of expertise to enable us to solve those. Tech is a must. And I would say that without technology, we can't solve the current problems. So technology is an enable. It's the enable. So I clearly see that technology is the way to solve these problems in a sustainable manner and in a profitable manner, while taking into account also the customer needs.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned also, like when it comes to technology, often regulatory aspects come into it, and we've seen sort of throughout the last couple of years that governments have been very eager to stimulate innovation in the finance industry, and especially around the payments and the open banking. at the same time, obviously, they've been looking after the protecting our customers' interests. But so, Sirpa, if you were to sort of look at the role, what kind of role do you see that the governments should take when it comes to sustainability within the finance industry? Are they doing enough? Could they support us more?
Good question again, Siri. I believe that the regulators and the governments, they are doing already quite a lot. So enabling competition is of course one thing, but the second thing is taking away those most prudent parts of the society. So, for example, in Finland, we have had a regulatory regulators going into those quick loans and setting a maximum interest rate for those that is being allowed. So that has already changed a lot the landscape of the quick loans in Finland and seen quite protective. But of course, the situation where we are right now, I believe that trust plays a big role. And I would put banks in the center of providing services. So banks be seen as the trusted partners for people and seen also as the responsible lenders with the possibility to have a consistent view of their customers' finances. So if you think about a very human basic need, very kind of simple question every one of us actually poses to themselves is this question: am I financially okay? Yeah. And I think every consumer, every person, human being is asking that. And the big question for the future is, who are they going to ask this question from? Are they going to ask it from their web browser? Or are they going to ask it from their bank's app or bank connection? Who will be positioned into the center of human beings' basic trust in this new technology environment? Yeah. And I personally believe banks have a great opportunity to be in the center of being the trusted financial information provider. And that will also then come back to the regulators in this way. So if there's one party or one industry sector who takes this part, I believe the regulators also have their lives much easier.
Yeah, and obviously it's we need to take we also need to take responsibility as users over our own economy, but we see that a lot is happening in that space. I mean, a lot of young people don't know and understand what private or personal finance is all about. So you see, who do you think owns this? Whose responsibility is this in the end? Is it consumers? Is it the banks? Is the regulatory? Who's responsible for this?
Yeah. I basically believe in markets and people. The regulators, of course, they have to protect individual customers and they set the framework, and they can also incentivize operations by tax rules and so on. But they have also big role in being an enabler. So governments have lots of data that they could share with app developers, companies, so that we can develop the best tools. For example, one good example is EU Commission, who shares the satellite pictures for companies who want to develop new apps that can, for example, be used for optimizing fertilizer use to protect environment. But who's responsible? I think we are all responsible. As consumers, as investors, as product developers, as business developers, we can't wait the government to say that, okay, this is what you should do. We should act proactively, and we should develop different approaches to to create more sustainable future from environmental and social perspective. So we can't blame any other person than ourselves if things don't work out.
No. And I think that's good. I think because that brings us to partnership. I can see that there, it seems like our time is up. There are people in Copenhagen kind of making sure that we finish off soon. But if I just have the last question, because for partnerships are so important for us at Huawei. Who would you, if you were to just very quickly with a few words, both of you, Sirpa, you can start. What would be your dream partnership to create a great solution for sustainability? Like which partners would you dream to see working together to solve a problem?
First of all, partnerships are the key. The more complex the economy becomes and the environment we all live in, the more we need partners. We can't do everything by ourselves, and we can't. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. So where I see the ideal partnership is to be built around trust and also the capabilities and skills that complement your own company's capabilities and skills. So not to be on the same area, not to be overlapping, not to be competitors, but maybe co-competitors, like we love that term, somewhere competitors, somewhere cooperating, or then completely in a different field, so that we can build, based on trust, better future for all our customers and our customers' customers, who are the consumers in Net's case.
Yeah. And the most important ones, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, do you have very quickly?
No, Sirpa summarizes that perfectly. So we need all the parties to work together, from technology developers to financiers to regulators to customers. The problems are so huge that no one can really say that, okay, I have an answer. So it's sort of a systemic change that we have to make to be able to answer to the demands. And collaboration is the key. Without collaboration, there's just no way to succeed.
No, and I totally agree. So with that, I thank you all so much for joining us today, all the listeners, all the people in the panel, speakers, and also Copenhagen Fintech Week for making this such a great event. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you all for this great session. It was super interesting. We had the opportunity to run a little bit over time here. That was fine. There were so many interesting speakers here, and we actually don't have a panel coming right after this. So we had a lot of slap here. If you compare to the other panels, I think you were very lucky that you had so much extra time. But they were super interesting, and thank you for that. There might be one question in the chat that you haven't answered, so there's an opportunity to go in and answer that about the fund. I don't think we'll do it now. But actually, that's all for the FinTech and Dreams track here on the Copenhagen Fintech Week 2020. So final session here. Thank you very much for following this track and the other tracks. There's some very interesting sessions still at the Fintech Week. We have demos right now next door to me. And a little bit later, we also have the Copenhagen Fintech Awards 2020, where we're going to salute the 5 best Nordic impact startups, fintech impact startups this year. So stay tuned for that, and I'll just say goodbye. Thank you.